Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Chris, and welcome to Fluffy Cloud Top 10. How's everyone doing today? I have some things I should point out immediately, one of which is not super important. The other kind of is, but also not really important to the top 10, so I might actually end up saving that for a deeper vlog. Number one, I'm shaved. I think this is my first bit of shaved face content that I have done, and honestly, it feels good. It feels good to not have something like living on your face sometimes, just to kind of get that off. I think I look better with a goatee, but I also just kind of figured like I want to just get rid of this, you know. I want to get rid of it all. I just feel like I look better without the beard. It doesn't feel as like suffocating to have the long beard on it. I just get lazy. I should be shaving more. Anyways, it's beside the point. Second of all, since my vlog on Monday, I have discovered that I'm pretty sure I am like fucked when it comes to being able to stream, which sucks. But I'll talk about that at another time, because for now, Fluffy Cloud Top 10. We're gonna continue with this series. This is our March edition. I had something else planned for this, but I ultimately went with favorite Mario Kart tracks because we have a new wave of Mario Kart tracks to play. If you missed, I did my first impressions of the 8 new courses that were added to Mario Kart 8 that you can check out on the channel. I'll make sure to link the video probably at the end of this one or in the description if I remember. So Mario Kart tracks, for me, it comes down to a lot of different things. Aesthetic is the big thing. Like how a track looks, it has to stand out. It has to be unique. It has to be different from moment to moment. Like I will say right now, like a lot of like the insert Mario character names circuit tracks, like a lot of them just don't do it for me. I feel like they're all very generic. They're all very much like they're all the same to me, and it's like I'm sure that for people that are a lot more on the technical side of Mario Kart, that are like love how like certain turns work, and you know they have like certain things that they get really like attached to. For me, it's just like a lot of them are just flat out boring. They're just boring tracks to me. So I like things that have a little bit of pizzazz to them overall. Music is also kind of a factor as well, but not. I think when I look at this list, I would not say. I don't know if across the board I sit here and I'm like, oh man, these are like all the banger soundtracks of Mario Kart. Like there's better soundtracks than the 10 I'm about to reveal, but it is a slight factor. But yeah, like just the experience of racing on the track. Like, will I be able to go down different paths? Will I, what shenanigans will I end up in, like in the middle of when I'm racing around? Like that, all of that is a huge factor to me in determining what my favorite Mario Kart tracks are. And I think the other thing to keep in mind, nostalgia is going to play a factor. Like, I grew up with specific games, and therefore I will be holding on to my love of those games a lot more. I will say I'm lucky enough where all 10 of my favorite Mario Kart tracks are now in Mario Kart 8. But we're going to start with number 10 in a way that is different from the rest of these, in that I am not a fan of this track's Mario Kart 8 version. I found I personally found that it kind of, I felt like they kind of went in a different direction with it that I didn't really love, and it kind of made it like, oh, like I've been looking forward to a remaster of this track, and I feel like they didn't really necessarily do a good job with it. I'm, of course, talking about GBA Cheeseland. And I specifically included the image of GBA Cheeseland in this video because, or of the original, because if you are not aware of the original track, I can understand if you have never played Super Circuit. It's probably the worst Mario Kart, maybe. I don't know. I have a lot of love for it because it was my first Mario Kart. This was a planet that was completely made of cheese, and you were in the middle of space, and you had like rats running around on it, and the track layout is as what you would expect from a GBA track, which is everything was pretty much flat. But what was fun about it was, and you get this in Mario Kart 8, where you are jumping. You have a section where you're kind of like you race down the middle of a track, and then all of a sudden you are just jumping over things over and over again, and that was always like really fun to do. Well, I will say though, the bummer about this particular track with Mario Kart 8 is that instead of leading into the space side of things, which I guess like you could say like, well, Rainbow Road is when they jump into space, and like that you don't really need to do that with any other track. They could have done it with this though, because they also are leading into desert for Mario Kart 8 Cheeseland, and I'm gonna just say this right now. I find pretty much, I'm just gonna double check my list to make sure I'm not gonna contradict myself. I find pretty much every single desert track in Mario Kart, in the history of Mario Kart, to be incredibly boring. I find I think the only time that you'll ever get me like super excited for a desert track maybe is like if you were to do the desert area from Super Mario Odyssey, and that's it. Like everything else has just been like they all just kind of are they suck. They just suck. It just aesthetically, maybe like the track themselves aren't that bad, but like I think that like Dry Desert, which I think is the GameCube one, like that gets kind of interesting. With like, especially when you have like the sinkhole and you're trying to avoid the sinkhole, like that's cool. If it's called Dry Desert, by the way, I feel like they're all called Dry Desert. If I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Anyways, so I was disappointed that it leaned into like a desert side, because I feel like I feel like it would have been so much more fun to have like a much more vibrant, cheesy world and have the contrast be that the sky is completely dark. And that it's filled with stars and stuff like that. You're on the moon, and you have like a little bit of like an anti-gravity thing going on. Like there's things that they could have done with it, and therefore I was disappointed by it. But I just love this course so much. It was one of what made me fall in love, I think, with Mario Kart was this course. I was just like, oh my god, I'm just racing around on cheese. This is fucking cool. Like I was a fat kid as a child. I'm still a fat kid now. So that's an easy appeal for me. But yeah, I love Cheeseland. It has this like sense of like wonder. I love the soundtrack for it in Mario Kart Super Circuit as well. Yeah, just a great time. Number 9. This is one of 2 tracks that have been newly introduced to me through DLC of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And it's Ninja Hideaway. I was kind of surprised how much I fell in love with this track when I started playing it with like the first launch, and it got me excited for what the future could hold for like, oh, maybe there's gonna be more fun Mario Kart track ideas that will come out of this DLC stuff, because this was kind of like the first one that came out, and it says it's not from Tour. It is a Tour track as far as my understanding is. But it was like different from like the based in real life location tracks, and it's just like what I love so much about this is the different paths and the different journeys that you can take throughout this course. Like I love a track that is going to give you a new experience each time you run a lap, and like the fact that you have like you can race, you first enter and you can choose like to take the stairs up, or you can take the bottom path, and then the bottom path also splits up, and then you can then choose at once you get to like the outside portion, and you're hovering. If you get enough height, you can reach like the top platform and go out the top or the bottom, and then like there's different paths of like once you leave that area and like you're nearing the finish line, you have like a top path and a bottom path. Like, I love that stuff. Like, to me, when you change things up in that way, I think it's a lot of fun. I just love the aesthetic of this course so much too. Like I love like the cherry blossom trees and like the petals that are floating around. I'm a sucker for Shy Guy, and Shy Guy being like a central point of this track too is a really cool thing as well. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this one, and I think it's just one of like to me, it was a breath of fresh air as someone who has been kind of critical of Mario Kart 8 tracks. And it is ironic a bit that I'm going to be basically having all of these be part of Mario Kart 8. That's ultimately what makes Mario Kart 8 great, though, is that I think where they lack in making like their new courses really stand out, their retro course remasters across the board. Like Cheese Land is a exception. It is just not my favorite of the remakes. There's so many great remakes that I want to definitely talk about, such as, and this one wasn't like an amazing remake either, but it did the job. Wario's Goldmine. I'm a Wii defender. I love Mario Kart Wii a lot. And so you're gonna see quite a few of these courses on my list, my favorite list. I love Wario's Goldmine so much. It, like, every single time that I played it on the Wii, it was like I was about to go on a roller coaster ride, and I just loved going up and down, and like I think what made Mario Kart Wii so stand out for me was like it really leaned into like, oh, like Mario Kart doesn't have to just be like this flat, boring, race throughout the entire track. It can have these ebbs and flows and change as it goes on, and Mario Kart Wario's Goldmine is like the perfect example of like, we are going to put you on a journey, going up and down and riding to the side, and then like it was just it is so much fun. I love the intensity of the music. It's like I think the best part about Wario's Goldmine is the soundtrack, because when you start out, it kind of has like that build up. It builds up until the beat kind of like drops almost, and then it goes into like the real banjo playing, and then it times almost perfectly to when you go through your first drop in that track. It's so nice. I love it. What I love so much about the Mario Kart 8 remake is one thing that was a real pain in Wario's Goldmine was the mine carts, because you would get hit by those and you'd like spiral out. With Mario Kart 8, they added the little like boost pads onto the Wario's Goldmine thing, so that way when you're when you go near them and you touch them, they give you that boost forward instead of you getting knocked out. Like, so they basically made it so that way those are not obstacles anymore. So good, so good. I super duper appreciate the track a lot. I don't think it's a favorite by people. I feel like there's people that don't really love Wario's Goldmine. I don't know. It's one of my favorites for sure. Speaking of one of my favorites, and speaking of Mario Kart Wii, Coconut Mall. Look, this one is there's not a ton that I can say about this one. I think what I loved so much about it was how much it leaned into, hey, this is like one of those tracks that lead into you using your Mii's as part of like the posters, and that I was a sucker for that stuff, and so like aesthetically that was a lot of fun. I love how in the remake there's that turn that you make, and then the wall is like the 2D Mario art that they have. Like, that's super cool. The music for this is super iconic. Yeah, I think there's something so much fun about like just driving through a mall in Mario Kart. Like it just is a different kind of aesthetic choice that like we're not really used to. I love like even the shortcut in the beginning where you could drive through that one little shopping area. It's not, I forget, I haven't used it enough in Mario Kart 8 to know like how effective it is, but Mario Kart Wii, I remember like I always used to do that, like mushroom through a dirt path and then you know, keep going to like improve my time. I don't even know, I'm sure like speedrunners, they've like figured out other ways to maybe even avoid that particular part of the course. But yeah, I just, yeah, it's just so much fun. I love that it builds up to you then like launching out of the mall and like you sail into the parking lot and then you have the cars, which they made the cars so like the cars just drove back and forth in the original, and then in this version they have them like spinning around crazy. I think that also just adds so much charm to it, like chaotic joy that it brings me. Yeah, Cooking the Malls is phenomenal. Number 6 is probably as personal of a pick as you can expect from me, because I think overall I don't know how high this track would be on most other people's lists. But it just comes down to I love this game and I love that it got its own track, and that's Animal Crossing. I think it's a super creative track. This one teased me big time because Animal Crossing New Horizons does not look as good as this track does, and so I will always be a little bitter about that. Like, I love New Horizons, but my god, that, like, it just in comparison, it's just like, that, man, it could have looked so much better. It could have looked like a Mario Kart game, and it just didn't. But this, they just did such a good job. It was such a celebration of Animal Crossing of old, where you have, like, all the shops set up, and you have like the little characters waving on the side. I love that you can dive into this track on the 4 different seasons, and that changes like who's on the track and obviously the aesthetic of the course as well. It's awesome. They did such a good job in adapting the game to a course. Like, I don't see how they could have done much of anything different with it. It was so much fun. I think it's cool that you could like run into the trees and the fruit drops. I love that you have the balloons floating in the air like you do in like the original Animal Crossing as well. Yeah, like, and then like I think that, did they have Rossetti popping out of the hole in like near like the end of it? I feel like I remember that part of it too. It's just been a bit for me to like fully remember. But yeah, it is Animal Crossing. It's my favorite game series of all time. And so it's just getting it as a Mario Kart track, and like that part of it of the new Mario Kart 8 tracks is just works for me so much. Next up, number 5, another Wii game, Wii track, Maple Treeway. This is just a nice track. It's just pretty. It's pretty, has a delightful soundtrack to it. And it's just a good time to like race around. Like, I love that there's an early shortcut that I've always used, which is like going up the side and then crossing the bridge, and then that'll lead you to the launch, the barrel launch. Like, I love that. I love that you're just racing on the branches of like the giant tree. In the second half of the track. It's just super exciting. It's just I love a good, delightful, nature driven track like this. It doesn't always have to be like it could be a chaotic game while also just giving you nice vibes, and I feel like Maple Treeway does that the best. There's other tracks that are similar to this that I probably don't blink an eye at or get too excited about because it's like usually like generic greenery. The fact that this is based in fall, I think works. If this was like a cherry blossom track, like I would probably also be super all over it, but I think the fall aspect of this is what works so well for it. It has a gorgeous look and feel to it. I will say one of the things that I miss from that they did not bring forward in the remakes, I loved, they used to have, if you did not play the Wii version, they had a net at the end, close to the end of the track, where you can race. As you race, you can like bounce off of it and trick off of it as you're going across. And I get why they got rid of that, because they ultimately added the glider, and so it was easy to get across. You know, from Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8, like it made sense just to kind of have that be like a gap portion. But I get why they did that. I fucking love that net. Like it was just like a delightful little thing. Like, oh, we're just bouncing, the leaves are falling. It's like playing outside in the fall. That's kind of what reminded me of what Maple Trueway reminds me of. It is just a great old time. All right, my number 4 is another original Mario Kart 8 track. So you know what? Like when it's all said and done, Mario Kart 8 does have a couple of new tracks that it introduced that are on this list. The caveat though is that these are all from DLC. Like Animal Crossing was even DLC before it got put into like the main, like when it released as Deluxe, Animal Crossing was in there. But my beef is with the original 16 with Mario Kart 8. All right, that's just saying that. But anyways, this is a new track though. It is none other than Yoshi's Island. And I don't know if this would have been as high on my list if I did not replay this, because I did the first impression of it. I was just like, holy shit, this is amazing. I love Yoshi's Island. I again beat that game last year for the first time. I had played it as a child, but never like fully played through the whole thing until much 2022. But looking at this from the surface, it's like, holy shit, they have so many references from the game. It's colorful. They have great music. The fact that you cross the finish line and it plays like you finish the level in Yoshi's Island, that they play that music as well. But the thing that puts this over the edge for me, the thing that gets these, I was just like, this is awesome. And maybe this is me getting a little too hyped for this. The fact that in that first impression video, I brought up like, there's like the cloud with the question block that's like floating around. I wonder if you hit into that, if something happens. So fast forward to a couple days ago, I was just racing around on the Yoshi's Island track, just looking around, seeing if there's other references that if I missed any or not. And I did. There was definitely some things that I didn't notice the first time. And then I tricked off the cloud, and I was going towards the cloud, and I hit it, and all of a sudden, a red bridge appears, like the red little like stairs stuff and like things like that have appeared in Yoshi's Island if you hit the cloud. And that appeared, that lets you race through the hoop that you see close to the finish line that has all the flowers on it. Dude, come on! That's such an attention to detail that I fucking love. They put their whole heart into this track. They kicked so much ass, and like I initially walked away from it being like, oh, there's like some other like references I wish that they included. Like I feel like they could have done more with like the cave portion and maybe include like those little ghost Shy Guy things. I don't even know if they're Shy Guys necessarily, but that is minuscule school like stuff. Like in the grand scheme of things, they did everything that they possibly could with this track, and the fact that it's pretty much an exact replica of like the island that of Yoshi's Island, like the one that you see when you first boot up the game and it's spinning around. Like so much of what they pulled, they pulled that map directly and then they just turned that into a track. It's fucking incredible. Like they did so good, and I am so hyped for this, and it makes me excited. Like, what if we get another one of those tracks in the next 2 DLC waves? And even if we don't get something to this magnitude, I wonder what the future of Mario Kart is, and it kind of opens up that conversation of like, what if you included more Mario spin-off stuff, or what if you went beyond Mario and did like a Kirby themed thing, or another like a actual Splatoon racetrack, not just a battle course, or more Zelda stuff, more Animal Crossing stuff. I don't know if you could do more with Animal Crossing, but like I don't know, like just open it up like to Metroid and I don't know, like there's so much that Nintendo has done over the years. What about WarioWare track? Like Jesus Christ, like there's so many things that they could do. I feel like it kind of is one of my biggest reasons why I didn't love the Mario Kart 8 original tracks, because like there was so much they work, they're good, but like they don't scream Mario to me in a lot of ways, and I feel like I want more of that in future games, or not even just Mario. Like it doesn't scream Nintendo like original stuff even. Like I don't know. I just love the original IPs, and I just would really like to see them lean more into that stuff. Lean more into taking tracks from other games and or settings from other games and turning them into tracks. I don't know. That's just me. Yoshi's Island is as close to perfect as you could get. All right. Next up, GBA Ribbon Road. This is another one of those tracks that I fell in love with in Mario Kart Super Circuit. Another reason why I love that game so much. Great music. I loved racing around on it. It is so different from the remake, where in the GBA Ribbon Road, it was very much like it was spaced in like a ballroom, and you were just racing around on like a red carpet. I don't even know if the track is like the track feels so different in Mario Kart Super Circuit compared to the remake, because they changed so much, and I think for the better. This is one of those remakes to me that elevates the original tenfold, and I'm a sucker for a game when you're a little guy in a big world. The fact that this is a track that is you're basically surrounded by toys, and you're in like this giant bedroom, but you're just racing around on this carpet is brilliant. It is colorful. It is like the fact that the track changes color as you go along. I love the section that you like where you fly, and then you're trying to dodge like the clown cars that have become like Jack-in-the-Boxes. But just like looking at the aesthetic of the track more than anything, like it just oozes so much charm, and I love that so much. I'm just a sucker for color. Infuse a world with color, and you're gonna get me hooked. And this is like Ribbon Road is just so well done, in my opinion. Yeah, I love this track so much. Like it is a top tier remake of a track, and I could not have asked for anything better. Like I've always wanted a remake of Ribbon Road. But if they just did it a 1-to-1 thing, and they did put it in like a ballroom type thing, I don't think it would have been as good. This is so much better. They just took an idea and just fucking crushed it. Like the fact that you could like trick off of like toy blocks as well, like that it's so good. They did so good with it. I love it. Number 2, Waluigi Pinball. I just realized I've been talking for a half hour. This has been a long one, because I have a lot to say. Waluigi Pinball is a top-tier course. Again, sucker for color, right? But just the fact that you're racing down a pinball machine, and you are being chased by giant pinballs, and then you enter like the final area that has all like the bumpers and the things that you bounce off on, and you have to worry about the pinball coming at you as well, and just the sound effects that get added, especially in the DS version, where you finish up a track and you hear like the roulette, not roulette, oh, is it like the slot machine sound effects and stuff? Like it just, it's mwah. It's beautiful. It's so well done. For a while, it was my favorite racetrack easily, and I would probably even say, if you were to ask me on a random day, I'd probably even say Waluigi Pinball is my favorite Mario Kart track. It's that good. The music's fantastic. It has nothing to do, like, I know everyone gets, like, really, like, everyone's obsessed with Waluigi. I like Waluigi. I think he's a weird character. I think that's why I enjoy him, is that he's just such a random character. But I'm not, like, obsessed with him. But this track is just fucking, like, top, fucking incredible. So, I'm super into it. But not as into it as I am the number one, my favorite Mario Kart track. 3DS Rainbow Road. And I came to this realization that it's my favorite track in the remake, but even the original, I want to give a lot of love to. There's so much that Rainbow Road has done over the years, so many different ideas that they've pulled off, but I think nothing has ever been as unique with Rainbow Road as this track, where I think a lot of my love for it comes from the fact that at one point you are racing on the moon. But even still, like, even like in the beginning where you're like you're racing on the rainbow track, and then you hit like this rainbow mushroom near the beginning of it, or near the end where you're like you go through like this super rainbow tunnel that you race on. You're not just like blasting through. And then like there's like a section at the end where you could go off like you could take like 3 different paths. Kind of, they're all going in the same direction, but you could go 3 different paths or fly above them. And all with this incredible remix soundtrack of the N64 Rainbow Road. I think the remake, like the road itself, is so good looking. It's just, I've never been like huge Rainbow Road fan, but I really love 3DS Rainbow Road so much. I love that it's one lap. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and you're just kind of like even at the point when you're racing along like the Saturn, like it's not a super exciting point, a Saturn ring I should say. Like you're on like a ring of a planet and you're racing on that. Like that's not like a super exciting thing, but it's still like new and fresh for Rainbow Road. And like I think about where Mario Kart, where they went with it with Mario Kart 8, and then they were like, hey, let's put you on a spaceship, and it's just like, okay, that's fine. Like I'm not a big fan of the Mario Kart 8 Rainbow Road. This one to me is still like the best that Rainbow Road has ever been. I know that there's other people that have other Rainbow Roads that they hold near and dear. Obviously N64 Rainbow Road is a great track, don't get me wrong, but I always kind of found that one a little bit on the boring side. To me, there's so much new things that kind of happen on the 3DS Rainbow Road that kind of keep it super exciting to me. And also at SNES Rainbow Road that's like, if you had to list like your favorite like trolley Mario Kart tracks, like behind Baby Park, somewhere around there would be SNES Rainbow Road, because that is a hard track to race on, and you could really fuck people up on that track. And that's why that is a great track in its own way. But if you're just talking from like a pure enjoyable racing experience, 3DS Rainbow Road is just beautiful. And with that, I've talked long enough for a half fucking hour. I really like, I had been doing really good at like keeping these more concise, but you know what, this is a track, a particular top 10 that I'm super passionate about. But like straight up, like this is a top 10 that I whipped up. I'm sure like if you remind me of a track, I'd be like, oh wait, yeah, that would be it. Like some like notable things that I left out was Daisy's Cruiser, I love from the GameCube. Or Warrior Coliseum as well from GameCube. I really love Sky Garden from GBA. The remake, I think they did a really good job with it. I love the original soundtrack for Sky Garden as well. Yeah, like there's definitely like quite a few other, like Koopa Cape from the Wii version as well. I really liked. There's a lot of really good Mario Kart tracks that I did not include on this list, but I think I deserve conversation. And I'm sure that some of the ones that I was saying earlier that I think are boring, you might like, and that's totally okay. This is why I call it my favorite Mario Kart tracks, not the best, because I don't want to be, I don't want to stand on a hill and have a strong enough opinion to be like, no, fuck you, you're wrong, because this is just my favorite top 10. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Mario Kart tracks are, and what tracks you're hoping get added to Mario Kart 8 before they finish up their DLC. And of course, you can go ahead and look at my first impressions for Mario Kart 8's Wave 4 if you missed it. But if you did, if you already watched it, I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. It's going to be important now that I don't really have Twitch, at least for the time being. So yeah, please support me on this channel if you enjoy my content and you enjoy my weirdness. I greatly appreciate it. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.